Senator Batters, followed by Senator Boniface and Senator Sinclair. Senator Batters.
Thank you. Thanks very much for being here today and giving us some really important information as we, early in the study of this important bill. And the more I hear about this issue, the more I can't believe actually that the federal government is actually proceeding to legalize marijuana, the most widely used drug, because the consequences, especially in a critical area like impaired driving, are massive. And as you will likely be aware, this committee did a comprehensive court delay study on the criminal court delay crisis in Canada. Just completed that last year. And with your presentation and these statistics presented today, I'm even more alarmed about how marijuana legalization and even more drug-impaired driving will further cripple our court system. So to me, one of your most important findings is that the average impaired driving case involving alcohol takes already a very lengthy 114 days to get to trial, but the average drug-impaired driving case takes 245 days, more than twice as long. And as you noted, drug-impaired drivers are less likely to be charged and less likely to be convicted. So please tell us more about these really concerning statistics and particularly focusing on criminal court delays.
Those are about all the observations we can make for now regarding what we've observed in the past years. How these trends are going to behave once legalization comes into play, it's very hard to say to especially measure the net effect. There are a number of criminal code offenses which will be repealed that will not be coming into the court system, and others that might. And how everything is going to evolve in time, it's very hard to say. We will have to measure before we can conclude anything on that.
Right. I was just more wanting you only had a short time to be able to highlight some of these statistics for us. So if there's some more detail you can give on these particular statistics that I was referring to on the court delay system, that would be helpful.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
As well, I'm wondering, do you have any statistics about where you've asked people whether they will use marijuana or whether they will use marijuana more often after it's legalized?
No, we have not asked that. Yeah.
Okay. Why not? Don't you think that was maybe a potential important area to ask about in the advent of legalizing marijuana?
I'll bring this suggestion back to the office, definitely.
I would think that would be something that the Government of Canada would have been interested to know about if they were, really interested in delving into that issue in a deep way. The other thing that
Senator Batters, I think the point raised by Senator Batters is a very worthwhile one. In other words, if the government legalizes, one can expect that there will be an increase because there are people who don't consume now because it's illegal, but the day it's legal, you might expect that there will be, a natural, I should say, trend of all those who might be interested will go to consume. So is there a way to measure the impact of an additional consumption once the product is legal?
There will be ways of measuring the impact if there is additional consumption or even consumption in general pre and after legalization, and we can see what the differences are. And that's what the statistical system is trying to do in adjusting their various areas, like we've been looking into designing the national accounting system to be able to make a right accounting of activities related to cannabis production, distribution, and sales, and the evolution of prices. In the social area, we're looking into determining what would be the needed metrics or indicators that will serve to make those type of studies and so on. So we are adjusting. It's an interesting statement you're making regarding legalization and the possible increase in consumption. I cannot conclude that. I look at past statistics. However, the thing that we've seen, when we look at the trends in cannabis consumption since 1960, what you have on chart 15, we see that in the early 90s, the consumption is going down. And there's been an article published in the New England Journal of Medicine recently making a link between consumption and perceived risk.
Yeah.
So depending how legalization is assorted in terms of campaigns and everything, I don't know that. And things are going to differ from one jurisdiction to another. And I cannot predict.
Sorry to have interrupted, Senator
It's okay.
Batters, but
Yeah.
I would think
consider that as a supplementary.
Yeah.
You could
No-
go on.
No problem. I would think that perceived risk, a large perceived risk would be the possibility of getting charged criminally with it and having a criminal conviction on your record for years and years. To me, that would be a pretty major perceived risk. And I wonder if, just to end on this, I wonder if the Government of Canada has a little bit of willful blindness on that. They're almost afraid to know the answer that they fear that doesn't fit their narrative.